Saturday, January 23rd, 2016. I'm Ron Castillo inside Freddy's Pizza here in Melvindale. Freddie to my left, Pete Spivak to my direct center, and
Bonjour.
Bonjour. And to my 11 o'clock would be a voice you're very familiar with, and as soon as you hear him speak, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Jeff Rieger, 97 on the ticket. Jeff, welcome to the Pizza Cave. How you doing?
People hate the voice. They're not a big fan. I'll tell you what, I'm a big fan of this, though. This is outstanding. The pizza, I've heard about this place. Lives up to the hype. Nicely done.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, buddy.
So coming up today, we're going to be talking Tigers, the Upton deal, Tigers Fest going on today. Red Wings last night, 3-0 win in Buffalo. We'll talk about the Wings, the Pistons, the whole hack at the Dre, the All-Star game, and if we get time, a little bit of what's going on in Cleveland as well. But let's talk about the Tigers and the Justin Upton deal. Al Avila being very candid and seems a lot more friendly with the, or just more blunt with the press there on the presser with Justin Upton, and Upton coming
You
here.
mean it's not like Dave Dombrowski, he don't say nothing? Dave Dombrowski doesn't say nothing, right? I mean, you would know better.
Dombrowski didn't say much.
Yeah, he didn't say much.
Avila's a little more open, which I like. I like a lot.
Who wins the World Series first, Dave Dombrowski of Boston or Al Avila here with the Tigers?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I think Boston's going to be back in the postseason this year. I'll tell you that much.
Maybe playing each other?
That'd be great.
Oh, man. Wouldn't that be the first year?
Double D versus Double A.
Game 7, David Price against Miguel Cabrera.
Payback for what happened in 2013.
Oh, man. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I'm going to say, I don't know, I like this Tiger team. I do. I think the big thing, though, that not everybody talks about is injuries. Because Victor's 37, Miggy is declining as far as the power numbers are concerned. JV, I would assume he's going to be back to being JV. He looked great last year in the last 19 starts. And then, obviously, Aníbal Sanchez needs to be healthy. But, dude, you got to love the owner that just goes, he just went after him.
Yeah.
I think they need more pitching. In my opinion, I think that, I wish they would have went more pitching than the Justin Upton deal. But, I mean, you can't frown on the Justin Upton deal because just like you said, the owner, he wants to win. You know?
You know what? I know this sounds weird, but I sort of frown on the Justin Upton deal.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with his playing stat. The Tigers are still doing the same old thing since they've done since 2006 when they load up a team with lots of big contracts. Yeah, you know what I mean. Big contracts and big stats, but yet there's no depth.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Justin Upton gets hurt, it's the Tyler Collins show. God help us.
Yeah, Tyler Collins ain't that bad.
I understand that, but my whole point is that you go from the top tier, because Justin Upton is a top tier player, to the third tier. You don't make like a gradual progression down to like a good solid bench player. I mean, you're going down right to Toledo. You go from the gold shelf to Toledo's my whole point.
But they got Cameron Maybin. I mean, I personally, Cameron Maybin and Tyler Collins could give you what Justin Upton can give you in 1 year combined. My opinion.
Yeah, I don't think depth is a huge. I think they're better depth-wise.
Yeah.
I mean,
Avila's, they signed.
Not to mention Romine can cover second. He can cover shortstop as well. They go out and get Saltalamacchia, the backup catcher now. Brian Holiday, I would assume, would go back to the minors, or I would assume someplace else. I don't know what his options look like. But I think they're fine depth-wise. I think this will be a good baseball team as long as they stay healthy and as long as the question marks, the four guys we talked about, remain to be good. I think the other thing, too, is, I mean, Al Avila went out and he addressed the issues.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if it's going to work, but I like Mark Lowe. I think he's a really good setup man. And K-Rod, I mean, people talk about his velocity being down. Still strikes out a ton of guys, though. His strikeout, K9 ratio is fantastic. So if it was up to me, this is the only thing I worry about, or wonder about. If Al Avila, like he told the story that at the Christmas party, chilling at the Christmas party, Mr. I walks up to him and says, listen.
Eat a few peanuts.
Yeah, exactly. Says, hey, I'm worried about the offense. And he just kept saying, I'm worried about the offense, worried about the offense, worried about the offense. And then he ends up going out and gets Justin Upton. I do wonder if Mr. I said, listen, Al, here's your payroll. This is what we're going to do. I'll go as high as this. Would this team look any different? Would Zimmerman be still the guy? Would Upton have been the guy instead of Cespedes? Blah, blah, blah. So I don't worry. I wonder about that. But other than that, I mean, I think you got to love an owner that. I mean, usually when you go 4 years at the top and then you don't make the playoffs the next year, you kind of got to start like retooling or not rebuilding is probably they said it was a rebooting when they traded everybody away. But I like that he went for it. I think it's cool.
Well, it's funny, you know, I was at another radio station that I won't name the name, but and they were interviewing El Avila. I was in the studio and they were interviewing him, and the guy asked him, the host asked him straight out, "Are you adding the payroll?" And Avila pretty much said, "No, we can't add the payroll. We're pretty much set. It would be pretty disastrous." Quote, pretty disastrous if we added the payroll.
Right.
So this was a Mike Ilitch move, you know. And I'm going to tell you, when they signed Upton, and people are going to laugh when I say this, but if you really think about it, the first thing I thought of was Bobby Higginson. But they have similar numbers.
Oh.
And Bobby Higginson, when he signed for 4 and 36 here, people went nuts.
And the problem is what happened after he signed that
I was going to
contract.
say 436 back then too was different.
They average about the same numbers, and
Right.
this guy's making $100 million more. And I just, like I said, you can't frown on it because you got to respect the owner. He wants to win. But as he says, it kind of reminds me of Dan Snyder. Always throws money at stuff, and he just never builds a winner that can win it all. And I think another starter, like a Burley was sitting out there, you could have got him. Daniel Span,
Denard Span.
Denard Span,
Span.
$31 million over 3 years. He would have been a good signing. Center field, and send Ghost down. Ghost is not ready to hit. A left-handed bat up top of the lineup, you know.
Well, here's, I mean, there was a bunch of guys out there that I really like too. I mean, Alex Gordon was a guy that I've always liked. I mean, he's got a cannon. I love Cespedes. I just would choose Cespedes over Upton just because I love, like, I remember watching last year, and, like, there would be a ball hit the left field, and nobody's running on Cespedes. Then I remember Cespedes being traded away, and Tyler Collins is out there in left field, and the same ball's hit there.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it's still Cespedes, because,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, holy crap, they're going to run on this guy?
Yeah.
And then, you know, somebody would say, that's Tyler Collins. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I say, so I really like Cespedes. There were other guys out there,
He
too.
just signed, by the way, with Washington. Yeah.
Mets.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mets.
Sorry, Mets. Yes.
Ben Zobrist was the guy I thought you could go out. I've always liked him. He
Yeah.
could play a billion different positions. So, you know, but the one guy, and this goes back to last year, and I always think about this, the one guy, when Dave Dombrowski did not make this move, Josh Donaldson.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you're right
the
about
Oakland
that.
A's got Brett Lowry, who
Yeah.
they want to now trade, and Josh Donaldson goes on to win the MVP.
Yeah.
And, you know, Toronto was fantastic. So that's the one guy I think, like, did you make the call, Dave, and could you have got that guy? Because, I mean, if Nick Castellanos isn't on this team, or if you have to move him someplace else and you have Donaldson, then please.
I think that's probably why he didn't make the deal because I think he even realizes I got nobody coming from the minors. Maybe I need to give this guy a shot, Nick Castellanos. I've invested in him, so maybe I need to keep him, you know, or otherwise fans. I mean, I don't think he cared what fans thought, but probably in the back of his mind, if he figures if I trade this guy, they're going to really be on my ass.
But this is Nick's season, though. I mean, it's his, what, third year? It's his third season? Yeah, this has to be his season to perform. I think he has the most pressure out of all the Tigers
He's
to
a good
perform as
player.
well. And I think that another guy who has pressure to perform, I mean, because now mind you, now I'm not talking about like people are like on his shoulders, but I think that somebody who probably is waiting to perform is Daniel Norris. I think that he's a guy who might surprise you and come out with 18 wins, and then you'd be like, oh my God, now we got to pay him. It's just like, you know, where does it end? But my whole point is that watch for Castellanos and Daniel Norris. I think they're your keys to successful seasons for the Tigers.
Castellanos had one of the best fielding percentages among third basemen last year. He, hitting wise, you know, he fell in a bad slump, and people forget that he's actually done a pretty good job considering that going over the position, he's played very well. He plays the hot corner. He played majority of the Tigers games last year, and did a good job defensively. Now, what they could have done with Denard Span, I would completely agree with. There's a lot of guys out there, but you look at the money being thrown on baseball. Ian Kennedy, wow, the Royals getting him that kind of money. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you shake your head about a little bit. And you see Fernando Ronnie get back in San Diego, getting another big deal, or somewhat getting some more money to go to San Diego, and the guy's kind of washed up. And even like in the case of some of the relievers are getting some of these contracts, it's ridiculous. So I think it's not just, I mean, the Tigers are spending like their major market team, and they're mid-major market teams, but they also, it's across the league. I think it's a league epidemic. All the money's being thrown around. I mean, right now, the Upton deal is a bargain because he gets opted out of 2 years. At that point, you have to evaluate what's going on in the farm system. The farm system is light years behind right now. And then with the whole analytics going through right now, there's going to be an emphasis on drafting deeper. Now they lose another draft pick to this, which is the consequence of that, and that I think will cost Tigers a little bit.
By the way, you mentioned Benoit, just real quick. I don't know, just real quick. Is he with? I'm sorry, you mentioned Rodney. Is he with Benoit now in San Diego?
Who?
I'm sure.
Fernando
I'm
Rodney?
sorry, Benoit. The former Tiger eighth inning man.
No, he just got traded to Seattle, I believe.
Oh, he's with Seattle. Okay.
I believe. Don't quote me on that.
okay.
But you know what? None of this matters because you know what? We're in an even year. San Francisco Giants are going to win the World Series
Great
anyways.
point.
Well,
That's the
yeah,
best
exactly.
point.
That's my B team.
No, I think you're right about
San
that.
Francisco
So,
Giants.
and they-
2012, 2014, and this year.
They signed Span and they signed Cueto and they signed Samardzija.
Cueto's signing's gonna be sneaky.
Cueto's smart for going back to the NL.
Yeah.
Yeah, very smart. My thing is with the Tigers, I worry about the starting rotation. You know better than anybody. You're there every day. Baseball is starting rotation and defense. Verlander, to me, he pitched well second half, but
You're right. He's in Seattle now.
yes, if
Benoit.
did he do it with a crappy team? Pitch well, no pressure. Zimmerman, I worry coming from the NL. I really worry about that. Sanchez is who he is. I mean, and Pelfrey. You know, he's kind of, they're both 4.5 ERA guys. And then Daniel Norris, everyone's saying Daniel Norris is going to do really, really well this year. We don't know that. So, starting rotation, to me, like if they would have got a Burley, you know, another guy, maybe will help him out. Burley hasn't signed, I'm surprised. That's my concern for the Tigers. More than Illich going, Illich always signing these big names, offensive guys. It's like, listen, you got.
He likes his stars for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
It's you got a big ballpark. Forget the 3-run homers, man. It's time to play some defense and scratch out some runs. You know.
And where does Matt Boyd fit in?
Well, I think Boyd will have a chance. I think Michael Fulmer will have a chance. That's a kid everybody's excited to see. I think the rotation, I think you're right. However, if this bullpen is how they legitimately think it's going to be, like for instance, I don't know who their seventh inning guy is.
It's that lefty from
Justin Wilson.
Yes.
From New York. Okay, so you go Wilson, throws hard, little erratic, right?
Yep.
In the seventh. Then you go Mark Lowe. I think he's a really good pitcher in the eighth. Then you go K-Rod in the ninth. And you set up your own little Kelvin Herrera, Greg Holland, Wade Davis thing that they got going on. I know Holland's gone in Kansas City. Then you get guys that throw 6 innings, and life is good, you know, on most days. Because, I mean, look at KC's starting rotation last year. They went out and they got Johnny Cueto, but, like, Danny Duffy, I mean, like who are you excited about? Like, Eldis and Volquez.
Chris Young.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, yeah, but so I think as long as the bullpen's okay and fixed, then I think you're okay. As far as Verlander's concerned, I get this weird theory about him. I think he performs better when he's the guy.
Yep.
And, you know, you look back when Scherzer was there, you look back when Price was there,
Pissed him off.
and, yeah, he wasn't as good. Now, I mean, he was also injured, allegedly, so cool. But it's a huge season for him, a giant season for him. And then, you know, the one guy that I'm interested in seeing is Pelfrey, because that is one sign, $8 million. That's a signing that everybody looks at like, well, what are you doing? And they obviously see something. They think they can fix it. The home run rate is like minuscule, so
The
I know
big
they like that.
ballpark should help him.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, it's weird because I can't get out of my mind the stuff that has to go right for this team to be good. But at the same time, I mean, I'm pretty intrigued by them all.
Yeah, like see, Daniel Norris, to me, I'm intrigued by him a lot too. But he could have been a guy. And get back to the Yankees. Last time they traded us a left-hander was Phil Koch. So you know, guys just don't trade left-handers.
Come on, he ended up being a closer for one game
Yeah.
against the Yankees in
Did
2012.
he
I would-
start
In
too?
2013.
I would like to see Daniel Norris maybe start off in the bullpen this year, and then, like I said, I keep going to Burley, sign a veteran like Burley, kind of give yourself some insurance. You know, Daniel Norris, hey, man, I hope he wins 18. But man, if you're counting on him being the number 2 starter, well, I mean, what happened in 06?
No, Zimmerman's going to be in.
Do you remember what happened in 06? Verlander, what they do? They signed Kenny Rogers so they could push Verlander down because he wasn't ready to be a number 1 starter. That's where I'm concerned. I mean, Verlander's your number 1 starter, but he's got to. If Verlander and Cabrera are now your 2 best players, they'll never win. They'll never win anything.
No, you're screwed. I will say this. You mentioned 06. It's one of the things I've always been pissed about. I love Jim Leland. I do.
Yeah.
Even though he kicked me out of his office like a billion times. I really do. Now we're buddies.
Kudos to you, bro. You have balls.
We
I like
fist
that.
pump. But I tell you what, Game 5, 2006. I mean, Leland should have went with the gambler. He should have went with Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.